All right. Welcome to another Sunday edition of the Boneyard. Here we have yet another special guest all the way from out east. Please introduce
West.
yourself, my friend. Out west, yeah.
Out west, yeah, no worries.
Yeah, out west.
It's okay. It's early Sunday morning. We're all good.
Oh,
Zachary Red here from Edmonton, Alberta.
perfect, man. Yeah, every time someone's from out east, I'll say, "Oh, they're from out west," or vice versa. I always fuck that up every time.
It's okay. It's endearing. It's great.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Well, I'm a multi-musical act. I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I am a recording artist, producer, audio engineer. As far as music is concerned, that's kind of my shtick. But during the days, so I can afford to live and eat and have a roof above my head,
Yeah.
I'm a cabinet maker.
Oh shit, that's a nice
Cool.
trade, man.
Yeah,
I did a lot of that in high school.
Yeah, lots of woodworking, and it's kind of something I've grown up with. My father's in the industry and kind of got me into doing it, and I've been around it since I was like, very, very little. So
Yeah.
just
So you
kind
do
of
like full on custom kitchens and like bathroom cupboards and stuff, man.
Yeah, the company I work for does that all, and I haven't done any kind of side work or anything like that. I have just kind of the only kind of side projects that I do that involve kind of woodworking is things for my own home. Like I've done bookcases and shelves, and I've also got into making custom pedal boards for guitarists and bass players and stuff like that. And I've made some for myself, and it's fun.
I was
Anything
gonna,
I can. Yeah.
with the making of the pedals, how did you get into like making custom pedals for people?
Well, it's not pedals, but the pedal board. So like the like where you attach like all your guitar effects onto, and you can mount your power supply underneath. The ones that I've made for myself are retrofitted and custom fit inside these old vintage suitcases.
Oh.
So I've got a couple of those. Yeah, and for depending on the gig, I'll have a bigger one or a smaller one. Right now, I'm using the smaller one, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Shit, that's all right, man. That's good to know.
Yeah, it's fun.
I gather.
Yeah,
Do you
fun.
have like a website or a page where people? Is that right on your
know,
Facebook or?
No, it's just kind of one of those things that people are like, hey, I know that you do wood stuff. Do you think you could like make me something? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Usually in my free time, I just try and focus on like doing like recording or like songwriting and practice and rehearsal and stuff like that. So to try and stay sharp,
Yeah, I hear you. Right.
But yeah, no, it's a fun little hobby. And anytime I need to make something or want to make something, I have the skills and ability to do it, and it comes handy being a homeowner too. If you're wanting to do any kind of renovation or any kind of update or upkeep and stuff like that, and yeah, it's nice.
Oh, for sure, man. Definitely
it's a
helps
good skill
out.
to have for sure.
Do you find that has made it easier for you during all the things that have been going on in the last year and month? Because you have those abilities to do those things. You find that those types of things have kept you busy to not necessarily not notice how time has been going, but maybe kind of make it a little bit easier or better for you?
Yeah, sure. Well, funnily enough, 2020, I was laid off twice. I think I maybe worked maybe 5 of the 12 months last year. So I had 2, maybe 6. Either way, I worked about half of the year last year. So I got laid off in March as soon as everything kind of went down because nobody knew what was going on. And I did a delivery to a job site, and they're like, well, we don't know for sure, but there's a potential hypothetical case that there could have been somebody with it, like where you went. So we don't know anything, but you should go and get tested. And we don't have any information. Like nobody knew anything about what was going on like March 14th. Right.
Yeah.
So
it was actually March 14th. Cause that's when I got back from my world tour. And then I was in Montreal and I got back and work voted me out. And then, they shut down for 10 days and that was it. Then they called us all back and said, fuck, if you're healthy, come back to work.
Right. So like I was, my partner is in school. So she was like doing her she's finishing up her education degree, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll just take this time to watch everything kind of simmer out or simmer down and see kind of what plays out. So I kind of opted in to take some of that time off, I guess, and just like go on EI. But during that time, I recorded all the pre-production for like a new record. I've just released St. Andrew's Avalanche, but I've like for the next full-length record, I've done all the pre-production for it. So I took those 2.5 months to do that. Also, during that time, I was like trying to do a ketogenic diet, which was like not conducive, like trying to like be like super focused on playing like all these guitar parts. And then like the hardest thing though was like trying to do the drum tracking for it. So it was like 12 songs, and I tried to do the drum tracking over the course of a week, and it was just like, it was a lot. But then also this fall, I got laid off at the end of August, and I used the time to record a new EP, which will probably be the next bit of material that Zachary Red will be releasing. And nice. It's just like a 5-song EP, nothing too crazy, but it's a funny project. It's just about as much about the music as it is about the soundscaping and like audio, sound design and stuff like that. So it's basically it's another concept kind of EP record kind of thing where there are these two people in a relationship, and the earth is kind of going to shit, and the one person in the relationship has to leave on a deep space research mission to try and find another suitable planet that can sustain human life. And what happens is the person that she leaves behind is an artist, and he makes her a mixtape to listen to while they while she's on her voyage, right? So I've got it all scripted out, and like I went to school for audio engineering and music production, so I really wanted to do a project that has that tests my hand at sound design and Foley and all these other elements of audio that not a lot of people really associate with. A lot of people, the average listener will just like hear something on or see something on screen, and they'll just imagine that it's the camera attached or the microphone attached to the camera that's capturing everything, right? They're not aware that someone is in a room that's fully insulated, like making clothing sounds and stuff like that for movement, so on, right? So I want to do this audio, this sound design project that correlates along with the music, and that's going to be the kind of the continuous album. So like you kind of listen to it from start to finish, and it puts you into like an environment, and it takes you through this story, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And if I can pull it off, and if I can pull it off well, then like it's going to be good.
That sounds exciting, man. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm interested in hearing what the end result of that is for sure.
It's going to be good. 100%. I'm planning on releasing a single, the single from the EP, probably sometime close to the end of summer, and we'll kind of see how long it takes me to finish the post-production and the sound design element of the record. All of the songs are done. They just need to be like kind of finally like have a final mix done to them, and then have everything mastered. But yeah, doing the sound design part is going to be a bit of a challenge. Weekends from here on in will be devoted to that pretty much. It's going to take that long.
Good,
So yeah, it's going to be fun though.
Right on.
Yeah.
No, that's excellent, because I've found a few bands actually are doing that concept where the whole album start to finish is whether a story or a play in a sense, or that's awesome that you're actually doing that. A lot of people, they just break down a fucking song. You get the album and it's 10 different songs. None of them go together. You know what I mean?
Right. And I mean, I've always found like with the music that I do, it really helps me kind of gives me a focus for what I want the songs to be about, or the feeling, or the vibe, or like whatever, right? Like we've got this space opera kind of thing that's going to happen, and it's it's all space themed. So like I chose songs that all have some kind of tie to space or stars or moon. There's all that kind of like imagery within the lyricism. And like on another record, the full length that will be released after this EP, it's basically if you had to choose one album to take on a road trip down the West Coast, this is the one you pick. So it's like pretty surfy. It's like it's a bit more poppy, but it's still got some like solid guitar riffs, and the drumming is really fun. It's definitely the most challenging or the biggest challenge drumming that I've put upon myself so far. But it's gonna be really good too.
No,
And
that's great,
it's kind of follows the concept or the idea of like, you know, every band wants to like go down to LA and make it or something like that, right? So it's kind of like that kind of poppy, kind of surfy, kind of coastal.
Yeah, in school when we had our band, our plan was, we're all gonna fucking buy this band. We're driving to LA. We're gonna be rock stars.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah, right. We never obviously bought a van and became rock stars, but
that's okay. You know, sometimes, that's another thing that I've been like really coming to terms with. Like last year, I was like, hey, guess what, man? You know, because of everything that's happening, you might not ever play a live show again. You got to be okay with that, because who knows what the world is going to look like. Mm-hmm. And like that was like a hard pill to swallow. Just like, you know, thinking about like, what if that's like actually the case? And what are you going to do? Okay, well, if you can't play shows anymore, well, that doesn't mean you have to stop doing music. Like, you can still record and you can make these cool songs and you can produce the hell out of them and make them very listenable. And, you know, you've also got all these other things to make you happy, and that, you know, just like try to
also, like, give myself yourself, spend time and make videos and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Learn other skills that will get you further within the trade that we're all in on, right?
Yeah, and that like last summer we did exactly that. We shot the music video for one of the singles off of St. Andrew's Avalanche called Baby's Blood, and it was all DIY. We shot it in my garage. My brother-in-law and a friend, like, you know, the three of us, and my partner too. Like, it was great. Like, that's awesome. And recently, the video actually got nominated for the FAVA Festival, which is a film and arts video festival in Alberta, and we'll find out if it wins anything in at the end of May.
Congratulations!
So, yeah, I'm pretty stoked on it. Yeah,
pretty awesome.
So it's amazing what we find out, what we're capable of being stuck in the situation that we're in right now.
For sure.
Especially with not knowing what the future of live music is like. We've had a few different, actually, this is a good conversation to have. We've had a few different conversations about this, and I don't know, I kind of feel like we're going in the direction where, like TJ says, outdoor festivals are going to be the thing, but I think that I think music, as far as indoor goes, is very much going to go back underground. Yeah,
house shows.
And
that's what it's going to be.
Nobody knows until you know, type thing, you know.
Exactly.
What's it like there? What do you think that the future is looking like at this point for where you are?
I don't know. It's I think that everyone I know that is in performance and live music, live theater, like whatever your medium is for your art, everyone's really chomping at the bit to really get back to it, but they also are being very respectful of the situation and know that it's not going to happen until we get the green light, until, like, you know, case numbers go down or whatever, until this or that happens. So, and it also is really hard too, because our province, like, you can't have anyone over to your home. Like, there's none of that, right? You can meet up with like some of your friends outside, or but that's about it. So it makes it really hard to rehearse and to work on new material. So in a lot of ways, I've kind of been blessed that way, because I'm a solo artist and I play all the instruments. So if I'm doing any recording or practicing, I'm able to do that all on my own. But, you know, preparing for playing live is something that I've been able to do recently. I met up with a couple of guys who go to Grant MacEwan University downtown Edmonton, and they're in the music program there. So they have rehearsal spaces that you're able to go to, and we're over the last like month and a half, we've actually been able to rehearse together and practice a live set, which has been really, really nice. And they're excellent players, Colin Campbell and Carter Hill. They're super, super cool dudes. Very, very happy to have met them and have the privilege of playing with them too. They're excellent. They very, very great at their instruments and make me want to become a better player myself, because I'm not trained really. I'm all self-taught for the most part. So it's been cool, but not everybody has that opportunity, right? Not everyone just like happens to know a guy that goes to this school who might like be like down to play your music and stuff like that. And you know, like the whole idea of like trying to sneak some of your homies into your basement to jam, maybe like late at night, like, you know, you get a noise complaint, the cops show up and like, hey, you don't live here. Guess what? You're all getting fined. And like, oh no, please don't, because it will ruin us because we're all so poor.
I know, exactly, right?
Yes. So
I gotta sell my guitar now to pay this fine for jamming. Like,
yeah, exactly. You know what? Officer, we'll make a deal. I give you this Telecaster and you don't give me a fine. It'll be great.
Yeah, right. Like
Telecaster is worth the fine. It's worth what the fine is.
Basically, right? Yeah. So, as far as, I mean, like if you got like a recording setup where you could play everything silent, where you can plug your guitars into a computer and your friend has an electronic drum set, then you could try and maybe do it like underground, like covertly, you know, try and practice. But at the same time, a lot of people don't want to take that risk, and rightly so. I mean, like nobody wants to get slapped with like a $1,000 fine or whatever it is, right? So, yeah. As far as like what it's going to be like moving into the summer and live music, outdoor shows for sure. I mean, it'd be cool to like just start taking it into your own hands and doing more like kind of like street performance and stuff like that, and street side shows, or like, you know, try and get on top of a building with all your gear, do some Beatles stuff, you know, like whatever.
Stuff, eh?
Exactly. It'd be fun. I mean, who knows if that can happen? I mean, I guess you just have to ask business owners the question if you could play like on top of their business, right?
Go up on your roof for the afternoon and put on a set.
Exactly.
That's a fantastic idea, though.
That's a great idea.
Writing that down.
Yeah, if we haven't learned anything from history, I mean, like history tends to repeat itself, so why not trying to repeat some of the most iconic things in history that really maybe changed people's lives? And like, I don't know, the Beatles rooftop concerts may be one of the most iconic live performances of all time, right? So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely up there, man. It's definitely fucking up there in the top 1 or 2 for sure.
Yeah,
there's a few larger bands that did it in the 90s too. I want to say Chili Peppers did it.
Yep.
On top of Tower Records, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a Bruce fan, but I can remember that happening. That I will say out loud and not feel bad about it. Some of them I'm like,
that's all good.
I don't like that band, and I feel terrible when I say it, right? Like,
you know what though, like them, like Red Hot Chili Peppers and the Mars Volta was the first big concert I ever went to, and
I need to start right into my next question.
Perfect. There you go. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was the first concert I ever went to, and I like individual players in the Chili Peppers better than the band as a whole. Like John Frusciante is one of the sickest songwriters and a great guitarist. Chad Smith is one of my favorite drummers, and Flea is a crazy bass player and also trumpet player. He plays trumpet on a lot of the Mars Volta stuff, which is super cool.
Really?
Yeah. But Anthony Kiedis, like, I mean, I think he's a fun kind of like hype man for the band, but I mean, he kind of sucks as a vocalist. But I mean, you know what? They're all very talented and they've made it this far for a reason. I mean, they're it's all good. But the first concert I went to, yeah, for sure. I mean, and you know, a lot of people will listen to Zachary Red and be like, yeah, you know, that guy plays all the instruments and stuff, but I don't like his music. And I mean, like, that's fine. I don't care. You know, I'm not for everyone, but at the same time,
in the end, it's a very selfish business because we actually really do the music for ourselves first. And then we see who likes it after the fact.
Exactly.
But if you love that song, it don't matter how many people hate it. You're going to fucking play it over and over and over again, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, the first... oh, sorry, go for it. No,
go
you
ahead.
first. I says no, please.
Yeah, I forget what I was gonna say.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was just kind of like riffing off of what you had mentioned on what the next question was going to be as far as like kind of first shows going to. The first like real concert I went to was in the 10th grade, which was the Red Hot Chili Peppers and the Mars Volta for the Stadium Arcadium tour, which was really cool. The Mars Volta is probably one of my favorite bands, and they're a super influential prog rock band that I really, really love. But like the first kind of like show I went to was like one of these underground basement shows when I was in the 7th grade or the 8th grade. And I went with my sister's boyfriend at the time. And it was really underground, like kind of hardcore music. You know, people were like windmilling and like throwing down like really, really hard and stuff like that. And yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, everyone was like trying to start the lawnmower and like doing a slap shot and like pulling the weeds up and stuff, like whatever. And like, you know, like all these like 20 to like 30-year-old people, like, you know, dude with a beard screaming into a microphone, and I'm just like 13. I got like red hair. I'm all kind of like goofy. I'm wearing a Led Zeppelin sweater to the show. I'm like, yeah, this is what I own as far as like band stuff goes, like band clothing. Yeah. So I'll wear this to the show, and it was cool. It was really, really influential as far as a lot of like what I kind of started to listen to shortly thereafter, getting into like a lot of like heavy metal and a lot of post-hardcore music and so on. So it was really cool. And then so that would have been probably like 2003, 2004. And then in 2006, I went to Vans Warped Tour in Calgary, which was like one of the only Canadian dates for that year. And it was amazing. I was like life-changing.
I never did I did many festivals. I never did the Warped Tour for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah,
I mean, it's like, once again, it draws like a certain crowd and a certain kind of bill as far as the kinds of musical acts that are on it. But I mean,
you know,
absolutely, it was like kind of like 2005, 2006 was kind of like the peak of the kind of metalcore, post-hardcore, and like kind of screamo, emo stuff. So I mean, and like that was like huge influence for a lot of the stuff I got into, or a lot of the music that I make now, even. And but you know, a lot like when I think about it, it's like I mentioned like metalcore, and I mentioned like post-hardcore and like screamo and stuff like that. But like my music is not that really at all. It's more pop than anything. I draw like a lot of different, like for the kind of music I make. It's like a lot of the, I guess it's almost like each individual instrument is kind of pulled out of a certain genre or a certain influence that I've had. So my drumming style is very much influenced by that style of music, kind of like bands like Under Oath and bands like Coheed and Cambria, that kind of stuff. Whereas my guitar playing is more singer-songwriter style. So bands like Bright Eyes and like the Spill Canvas, or you know, a number of other kind of like Midwest kind of singer-songwriter emo bands. And then bass and I'm just trying to do my best, because like I'm not the best bass player, but I mean, if I can lock in with my drumming, it's all you need to do, right? And then vocally is also kind of based in that world of kind of post-hardcore, the kind of the higher male vocal, as well as like a lot of classic rock. So like bands like Zeppelin, like Robert Plant's always been one of my favorite vocalists, and same with Sebastian Bach from Skid Row, like also like, yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty wild that like you listen to your metals and you have all the different genres, but yet when you play your music, it's not really like death metal or hardcore. It's not heavy. Like it really isn't. It's sometimes it can be like emotionally heavy, but like it's not like everyone's like succinct and doing like a crazy like technical breakdown or something like that. But, and I think like when I talk to a lot of different musicians, they kind of get surprised by some of the things I know and some of the bands I know and the terminology, and like certain members leaving and joining other bands, and like, yeah, man, we didn't know, like, okay, yeah, he knows his stuff, okay. Yeah, it's no, that's good though. Yeah, you listen to a little bit of everything.
Sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I think that you've got to kind of listen to a little bit of everything, so you have a bit of a point of reference in case like somebody's like, you know, I think it's important to listen to or like know at least like 90s hip hop, because it's super influential in like a lot of the popular music that's being made today. And like, you know, there's that. And then also being very familiar with like all the popular bands of the 80s and, you know, 60s, 70s, you know, just staying on top of like pop culture, and then getting down to some of the more kind of lesser known things and a bit more of the obscurity of certain musical genres. I mean, it's just fun and it helps, and you never know what you're actually going to like until you listen to it. Right. So
yeah. Oh, you actually hear it. You know, that's so correct. You know, I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, there could be like a metalhead that's like, yeah, man, I only listen to thrash. And then you could put on something, you know, you could put on some Lauryn Hill or something like that, and like the bass and the drums are like, the beats like super good, and like, yeah, you know, like I'm not gonna say I like it, but you know, I'm tapping my foot, you know, like exactly. So
yeah, listen to by yourself in your room so nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
I know all those guys. I was one of them at one point, right?
Yeah.
Being a woman in the metal world, it was like, no, this is all I do. This is all I listen to. And now I'm like, I listen to with my kids. So.
Yeah, for sure. All good.
Know all the words.
Yeah.
Like everyone's just trying to like express themselves, and you know, just let it happen. You know, I don't think anyone should knock anyone else for trying to express themselves. I mean,
no, right?
That's what makes everyone special and makes the world such a cool place, is that everyone is different and everyone has different tastes. And you know, I might not be a huge mumble rap fan, but I'm not going to knock anyone for like liking mumble rap or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I can certainly appreciate that statement for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So do you have a song? Like everybody has a song. Mine was War Pigs. War Pigs was what made me go,
okay.
you know what? This is it. This is my world. This is where I'm at. And like, I mean, you do
got a few songs,
right?
Versus love the genre, but like we all have that song that brought us into the mosh pit or this world. Or so, do you have one?
Sure. You know, I feel like I've got 3, if that's allowed.
Of course.
So
they're all allowed.
So as far as like a song that will like always, like I could listen to the song infinite amount of times, and I'm sure it's probably been like one of my most played songs, and it's off of Led Zeppelin 3, and it's That's the Way. I think that lyrically and melodically, it is just a perfect song. It's so beautiful and lovely, and it's, you know, very different from a lot of Led Zeppelin's other stuff. And that's I think one of the reasons why I like Led Zeppelin 3 the most, is because it is so different, and it's, you know, more acoustic and a bit more, I don't know, emotional to a certain degree, right? It's not just
yeah,
but like, I mean, like there's a decent amount of that.
Well done.
That was awesome.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, it's just like a bit more kind of like mellow, and I think the songwriting's excellent on that. But on the other end, there's a song by a Canadian metal band called 3 Inches of Blood. Deadly Sinners will get me fired up like nothing else. Always, I will like.
I can identify with that.
Yeah, it's something special, that song. Deadly Sinners, like it just like, really just like gets you like fired up. And
thank you. I needed that this morning.
Yeah, no problem. That song like gets me fired up like nothing else will, and it's like also like a little bit goofy, because like, you know, it's a lot of metal songs are like about like super like fantastical kind of things. They're all based in like another world fantasy kind of things, and it's awesome and I love it. But at the same time, you know, you're listening to a song like Kill the Orcs by 3 Inches of Blood, and you're like, this song's wicked, but I can't take them seriously because you're talking about Lord of the Rings, and like I love Lord of the Rings and all that kind of stuff too, but it's just like it has like a funny like dichotomy between being like super serious and like focused and like hardcore, but then like fantasy. I'm a nerd too, so I love I love both of those things together. So that's like another song that's like super wicked. I mean, also I don't know. I don't even know if I would say like Deadly Sinners is like my song, but like it's a song that I love for that reason, that it doesn't matter like where I'm at in my day or the week or like how I'm feeling. Like I listen to Deadly Sinners, I'm like, fucking yeah! Like I'm going for it.
All over it, eh?
Yeah, for sure. It's so much fun. It's got a ripping guitar solo. The drums are relentless. It's great. But like as far as like my song, like a song that really like blew the doors off of like things that were like possible for like songwriting and composition and all that kind of stuff, is a song called "In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3" by the band Coheed and Cambria. It's a great song, and it's like it's the intro to their second studio album, and or it's like the first song after like their intro. But anyway, it's a great song, and it's super epic, and I've seen them like 5 or 6 times, and like every time they play that song, it's just like I'm there, I'm in the center of the pit, like I'm pushing, I'm throwing down like my hands up and stuff like that, I'm singing all the words, and just like I'm right there. It's super epic.
Just trying to Google, you mentioned Lord of the Rings with the heavy metal and stuff. I believe the guy who played Saruman, who just recently passed, he has like 4 heavy metal albums out, eh?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that.
He's a huge metalhead.
Yeah, he was huge in the metal and symphonic metal and stuff.
I think it was, I can't remember for which band it was, but he did monologues over the entire thing. I can't remember if it was like Rhapsody of Fire or like if it was the band Lord of the Rings. I don't even know, but like, yeah, he did like super epic monologues over top of like certain metal bands like album, and like made it just like that much more serious. Yeah. Christopher Lee, rest in peace.
Cool dude. Great actor, and
Mr. Scaramanga.
I have a bunch of his albums on my playlist, and the odd days, like on the Sundays when I'm just fucking driving doing my thing, I'll throw that stuff on. Right?
Nice. Yeah,
it's fucking awesome.
He certainly was an interesting human being as far as the talent range he had. Anybody that knows, it's funny because anybody that knows him as an actor doesn't necessarily know what his musical career was like, but anybody that knows him for his musical career knows him for his entire career as far as like music, acting, to everything he did, right? So he was
a badass in life, like a real badass.
Pardon?
Yeah, he was a real badass in life. That guy.
Yeah. So right on. Yeah, that's funny. You were talking about how you have 3 songs, and like you've got one from back then, and like what influences you now. And I have to say that My Dying Day by Johnny No Cash, you made me think of them when you said like really serious, but also really fun at the same time. They're probably Memories are probably my 2 favorite bands. And they you'd really like them, but they're my, I guess, theme song would probably be My Dying Day, right? That's cool that you mentioned that. So like we haven't even asked you yet, like where can we find you? Like where's all your stuff online?
Yeah, it's basically anywhere you can stream music. I mean, St. Andrew's Avalanche, the Zachary Red's debut record, is on Spotify, Apple Music, it's on Tidal, it's on Amazon Music, it's kind of everywhere or anywhere that you want to stream music, and that's where you can find it. As far as I haven't gotten around to getting physical copies of the album made yet, just because we're not playing shows at the moment and stuff like that, and but once, and also getting vinyl made is like super expensive, and as a solo artist, having to like front all that cash yourself, it's a lot. So I've been just kind of saving up to be able to do that, and once I'm able to start playing live, that'll be another investment and thing that I'll have available for fans, as well as like t-shirts and masks and all that kind of stuff. So
we've talked to a lot of bands lately, and a lot of them are doing the LP tracks like special order just because they are so expensive. But it seems they're outselling CDs again. Like fucking records are making the comeback, buddy. Like,
absolutely. I think it's a worthwhile investment, and if at the end of the day I'm left with like 100 copies of my album, and it's like all on vinyl. I'm like, all right, well, now I got Christmas gifts for like forever, like whatever
Stocking
planned out,
stuffers.
right? Exactly. You have to have a big stocking, but yeah.
Yeah.
I've given away a few books over the years.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, I've given away a few books. I get that. So,
Yeah.
right on. Well, is there anything else you want to tell the world that you haven't already told us?
I don't know. As far as I could tell you a little bit about the album itself, St. Andrew's Avalanche, and give you some context to the record. It's kind of an amalgamation of actual events and some storytelling and whatnot, kind of all combined into one. So the concept of St. Andrew's Avalanche is that there is a person who is kind of fed up with the struggles and the anxieties of modern day society's kind of typical, like what your life is supposed to kind of look like. And he moves away and goes out into the wilderness, into the Canadian Rockies, to live in isolation, and goes to climb a mountain to just to test themselves, see what they have in them and what they're capable of. And while they're on this climb, they get caught in an avalanche and get buried alive. And while they're under the snow, they have their life kind of flash before their eyes, and they get to reminisce and contemplate all the things that they had kind of left behind and the relationships that kind of meant something to them. And by the end of the record, you're not like my intention was to kind of leave the listener wondering if this person makes it out alive and goes back to what they had lost or not, or maybe they'll live forever under the snow. And
snow,
yeah, so that is
pretty deep.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there to unpack, right? So the way the album's kind of laid out, you got the first 5 songs you listen to, and at the end of the 5th song, which is Sleep No More, there is a bit of a drum pattern that kind of fades into a delay, into a low frequency kind of rumble, and it emulates the sound of an avalanche happening. And so this avalanche kind of happens, and then you're left in silence. And after the 5th song on the vinyl, you would take that break, that pause, and you'd flip over the record, and then you'd start the second half of the album, which it would be their time beneath the snow.
B.
Side B, yeah, side B,
right?
yeah, Beneath the Snow. And a lot of the concept kind of comes from different parts of my past and my family's past. My brother and my father went on a backcountry ski trip together, and as my dad was kind of traversing across the face of this one slope, an avalanche was triggered above him, and he got buried alive. And my brother was actually able to follow his trajectory and was able to dig him out. But just the way, like life-changing experience for sure. And when my dad got back and he was telling me about what it was like buried alive, and like how he couldn't breathe, his mouth and his throat was like full of ice. He couldn't move as hard as he could. Like there's no moving. He just felt completely helpless and trapped and alone and dark. And this is like how it all kind of ends, right? But my brother saved his life, got him out from beneath the snow, dug him out. And my brother's name is Andrew, and that's kind of why I named it St. Andrew's Avalanche. My brother also moved away to the mountains to do his backcountry search and rescue education and get his helicopters piloting license and certification, all that kind of stuff. So, in a lot of ways, he helped, both of them really helped influence the concept of this record. But then everything that's written about, and as far as the lyrics in these songs go, they're all my personal experiences. So it's kind of like the three of us all kind of woven in together, collaborating together, our stories kind of intersecting to create this narrative. And then on top of that, also, I've got a friend who does spoken word poetry, and she's an amazing writer. Her name is Emily Kitteringham, and a number of her poems are interwoven across the album. I think she's featured on 5 of the 10 songs, and she it's almost like her poetry is the other side of the narrative. So, this person beneath the snow is thinking about these people that they had left behind, but the voice inside their head is maybe her poetry, and like like her voice essentially might be the thing that draws them out and gives them the will to survive, kind of thing. And
Wow.
that is
fucking really deep, bud.
yeah, that's the album. That's kind of what it's all about. So it's another one of those kind of records where it's fun to listen to it all the way through. It kind of gives you some context and kind of gives you, take 45 minutes and just kind of be immersed in some art and a story, and that's what it is. That's St. Andrew's Avalanche.
I
Oh,
absolutely love hearing how people's albums come together, because you never know when things like that are going to come out of people's mouths.
no, right?
That absolutely was, I don't even really know how to describe what that was as far as the story goes. That was pretty interesting, and it makes it even more meaningful that it's something that actually happened. Not just happened, but it happened in your life, right?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy moment in time where I'm like, oh, this thing happened, and I could have just like never seen my dad again. And also could have happened to my brother, could have happened to both of them, the two most important men in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Right.
Crazy times.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You usually hear stories like that, and you don't hear the continuation of, but no, they both got out alive.
Mm-hmm.
With something like that. So that's something to hold on to. That's pretty crazy. That's I imagine it makes it one hell of an album too.
Yeah, I mean it definitely gives it a bit more of an emotional charge, and kind of gets my goal was to get the listener more invested in it. And like I haven't had a lot of chances to speak to like what the record's like fully about to the full extent of it. So this is like maybe one of the first times I've been able to actually like talk through it all and explain where all these different influences kind of come from. But yeah, I mean that is it.
Well, I'm honored you were able to speak freely with us today, man.
Yeah, same here.
That's amazing.
Absolutely, it's been one hell of a time, and on that note, we're shortly coming up to the end of the time.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, if anyone wants to follow me, keep up to date with what Zachary Red has going on, albums to come, videos to come, you can find me on all my social media as Zachary Red Official. So Zachary Red Official on Instagram and on Facebook. You can follow me there, and also have a music video on YouTube for our single Baby's Blood, which is just Zachary Red, Baby's Blood. The video will pop up. And you can find St. Andrew's Avalanche available for streaming on any of your preferred streaming services. So, yeah.
Awesome. Right on. Well, on that note, can you send me all those links so that I can add them to the title of this?
For sure.
I was going to say, we'll have to get the links off here so we can throw it in and make sure they're up on the title, so people, when they're watching, they can click on it after or before and check it all out.
Good.
Right?
Absolutely.
All right. Right on. Well, I'm going to kick everybody else out, and we're going to keep you to ourselves for a few minutes before we all move on to our day. And
sounds good.
Thanks. That was a fantastic morning.
Dude, fucking
Agreed.
Fantastic, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh,
and once you get a few more, when your EP comes out, like obviously keep in touch with us, and we'll have you back on, and we'll talk more about the EP and that album.